I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're starting off. First up will be libraries. It'll be on page 2. Seeing the hand of $56,000. That was changed since 2022.
Just so the committee is aware, on these authorized agencies, these are legislative allocations, so I report in the requested column what they asked for, but I don't change it from the previous year in my draft. I think there was only one agency that asked for more this year. I don't think they're among the ones that you need to work this could. All the authorized agencies were informed of their budget. They were invited to here if they wanted to.
Question. I'm Caroline. I'm the director of the Fulton Public Library. I was elected president of the Oswego County Library Council. Libraries are working hard, especially in rural counties like ours. They're super necessary.
This is all the libraries of county, right?
All of the libraries in Oswego County. There's 11 of them.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to move this forward. Wait for a second. Second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the Sportsman's Federation, which is the amount of $50. Just a couple of library. $50, right? Okay. Been that amount for several years, right?
Okay.
Remain unchanged.
I'll make a motion to pass that.
Second. Okay, first and second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the Board of Elections, page 22.
Motion first and second, I can.
Okay. Oh. Can you get a motion for discussion?
Okay, the commissioners are not here, I think, because they're running an election at the moment. The Board of Elections budget for next year is a little bit different, and it's gone up a bit because they have 3 elections that they're planning for next year. Also, there were raises that were approved for election tax, so that's why the temporary line's up. Some of their software contracts increased, leasing vehicles increased on them. Overall, the Board of Elections is up about 130,000. That, a lot of that is due to the number of it being a presidential election year. You see that every 4 years, increasing in that budget. We did take down the request in a couple of areas. One, they anticipated an election worker pay increase that has not gone through yet. So we took that other supplies and expense election line down back to this year's level.
Yes, go ahead.
I had a question. I don't know if this is the proper place for it, but I was wondering what happens to the old machines. Did she answer? Would there be a way to recoup any money there, or
I think
that's not reflected in here? If they
the
did.
cabinets that are steel, they're gonna scrap.
Yeah,
Right.
The electronic portions of them, they'll try, but there's really nothing useful for them, so they'll be scrapped.
Something minuscule.
Just
All
be
right.
scrap metal.
Any other discussion? First and second?
What's that? No, I just want to vote this up.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the county attorney, page 37.
Morning.
Good discussion.
Second.
Okay, we have first and second.
Try to hold things as prior year. We have steam station tax certiorari is pending, and the zoning negotiation one of the nuclear power plants in the near future. Our costs tended to experts and appraisers, and they're reflected in the legal fees line. We also, if the county gets sued in other parts of the state or other states, and that does help in addition to conflicts. That's what's reflected in that actual line.
I have a question for me.
Yeah, sure.
I noticed that the draft amount is higher than the requested amount. I was just curious
One
what the difference was.
of the things is going to be the retirement, because the requested, the departments didn't have the retirement number from the state. That's something we get later in the process. We have to add that in to the draft.
Basically,
We generally don't touch personal services
Right.
lines or any department for that matter because it's that's
okay,
HR.
thank you.
Yeah, and the other increase that you'll see throughout them all is any labor contracts or management, the management plan goes up, so you'll see some increases salaries based on whatever plan or CBA.
All positions are filled presently in my department. We've brought another attorney on board in September. And that line previously was not filled. Well,
Make a motion. We already, we had a motion, right? Any other
We
discussion?
didn't have to vote.
Pardon?
Just to discuss, we did, but I don't think we had a motion to vote on. I make a motion to vote on. I said, I don't think we made a motion to vote on it, we just discussed.
Technically, when you have a motion, I know we've gotten into the habit of saying to discuss. but really no such motion exists. When you pass a motion, when you say a motion, it's to pass it.
Consider it.
What it does is open up the ability to discuss, so that's why people have gotten into the habit of to discuss it.
So you only need one, just one.
Well, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. Next up, we have insurance on page 30.
You'll note insurance is up slightly from prior years, the reflection on not only experience but market rates. One of the factors that drives insurance is the size of the county budget for public officials. That's a part of the formula. The carriers view that as operations. So you have a higher budget, insurance premiums will track a little bit higher. We're also leasing and acquiring equipment that is much more expensive than prior years. And carrying insurance on that increases as well. Drones, specialty equipment, and then even standard pickup truck now, it may have aluminum side panels as opposed to steel, and the repairs on it are quite expensive. I don't think we've scheduled electric vehicles yet. Wait to see premiums. So.
In aluminum side bodies, you just got to replace the whole pan.
Yeah.
Basically.
Cheap.
I know.
So it's it's up slightly, but the function of the fraction of the county budget, we don't control it, but what departments do, what they buy, can also affect.
Rich, I know that sometimes we get a late update from Eastern Shores. If this is actually going to be, is that, have you received that yet, or is that still?
This is an estimate. We are reviewing applications that have come back from the departments to find that coverage. The cyber application we just received this morning. Cyber has been a unpredictable market, and those premiums, I think last year were around $65,000 just for the cyber liability.
So there may be changes to this.
There may be changes in
On the
that.
floor of the legislature.
Yes, that's true. This is an estimate that Bill will let you know. But it typically happens, we can also pay the bill in January, it's paid in January. So,
Okay,
buying coverage, yeah.
we're looking for motions.
So
move.
Second.
Second? Second. Have a first and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the county clerk. Page 33.
So we do have a few changes in here this year. If you look through the biggest thing I'll point out is our revenue side. When it comes to motor vehicle, we went from a change in formula thanks to Albany, where we had 12.75 retention fee. We dropped to 10.75. However, with the 12.75, we had a threshold we had to meet on our online services. That has went away. So it's 10.75 across the board. The state estimated we'd be about 216,000 more than this year. I ran some numbers according to what I investigated with some other clerks across the state, and I disagree with that large of a revenue stream. So we've actually decreased that a little bit from the 216, as you can see. Well, it's my page 29 it is. If we look at online revenue share, 14, 11, 41, 25, 54.
It's on page 35 of your.
Yeah, 35 is okay. So this year we had it at 50,000. I upped it to 150,000, but also the motor vehicle fees, which is 41, 25, 52, we decreased from the 1.3 million. Just because we feel we won't see as many people coming into the office, but it's still going to take a while for the old habit to be broken of not using the motor vehicles. Along with that, you can also see that there are 2 motor vehicle positions I took away and deleted this year. Right now, for the last 2 years, I've really studied how the personnel is going and what it takes to function in each office. So I feel very comfortable leading 2 of those. We will still be able to meet our benchmarks of servicing the public and moving forward. That's something that I'm going to keep a close eye on as we move to this new retention formula. So, because a lot of people have the ability to go online. Other than that, really, I will draw your attention to the records management side. We have increased the historian's responsibility as we have a new historian. She is out there in the public meeting with or different organizations. She has attended one of her one conference already, so we had to increase a little bit in the travel reimbursement for that. We've never really had a historian that went to the conferences and went out and took some mileage and went to schools and things of that nature. It's really minuscule amount. In our records management side, we saw a total appropriation actually decrease with doing all of this. So, other than that, I'm open for any questions you may have. The clerk's side, we're really not as many in the clerk's office, not as many changes as you would expect. One thing that we have done is increase our revenue just slightly, but of course that's all based on the economy.
Yes, so the committee is aware the 2 deleted positions are vacant, so you're not laying anything out.
And actually, at this time, I would ask if I could have the committee under records management 1460, if they would delete records retention clerk 1460-69-401, which is a part-time position we had. We figured that person was going to do some scanning. For our new system, after reviewing with our new consultant on this in our new system, we won't be at that point for probably 3 years out where we'll really be doing the back scanning. So at this point in time, that would be left vacant, and I think it would be better served being cut from the budget. So, that'd be a savings of $16,546.
Any other questions from Terry?
I make a motion.
Second.
Have a first and second?
If you want to entertain the clerk's suggestion, you need to move and vote on that first. Before we go
Amend the budget.
To remove that.
and then you vote on it after.
I'll make a motion to delete that position. Okay,
I'll second.
first and second, for removal of that position. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Now we'll go back to the budget. And we make the motion to move the budget. Okay.
Second.
First and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Terry. Next up, we have the county legislature.
Page 1.
There really is not a lot from the county legislature budget, except that we deleted the $20,000 in other fees and services. That was the contract for ads maintenance, so that's a zero now, 20,000. So that's pretty, everything else is pretty status quo with the county legislature.
Just when a motion is made on this one, that it be made less the authorized agencies that are decided by other committees. Because the authorized agencies are within this budget.
Okay.
Then we don't have contradictory motions going that way.
Did the increase just reflect the, cost of living?
Pardon?
The increase in legislator pay, does that just reflect the cost of living?
That reflects the proposed changes in the local law.
Oh,
So it's, I think it's what, 3%? 3%.
I don't think 3% will cover us in the cost of living.
Records in the last 2 years, our areas had, I think it's 10.4% inflation.
Looking for a
Make a
motion.
motion.
Second.
First and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have the Clifford Legislature, and it's on page 5.
There's a few things I want to point out here. OTB, I talked to, the, Western New York OTB, and they have a projection that we will come in over $400,000 in OTB next year. So I made a note of that and put $400,000 in the budget for that for next year. That's probably one of the biggest changes that'll bring in some money. Also, reproduction expenses. We are out of, we will be out of resolution paper, so we had to add that along with the proceeding books and the government directories, which there's a slight increase in the government directories. Postage, I decreased. We don't seem to be going through as much postage, which is always a good thing, I suppose. And advertising, though, I had to increase. In advertising our legal notices. I'm hoping 1,500 will be enough. We had a lot of local laws and a lot of public notices we had to send out this year, so that's why I increased that, but that should hopefully end up pretty good there. Other fees and services, I increased that a little bit because we've been having a few special meetings and we have to bring in our videographer to do the special meetings, so I increased, thinking we might have 3 special meetings next year, so I did a slight increase there. And other travel reimbursement, I'd like to get some more training for Raven and get into some conferences for next year as well. And other supplies, nope, that I have the same, because we changed that. And then the temporary part-time position, what I did is I reclassified the part-time typist to a part-time administrative assistant so that it would be, because this position is a little more professional than it has been in the past, which is not just making copies and doing notes and stuff.
Any questions?
Everything.
no, I thought 16,000 was a little low for, that position, part-time myself.
Okay, we're looking for a motion, move it ahead.
So moved.
Second.
A second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have Lake Medical, page 6.
Basic measures. There really are not a lot of changes here. 2 that I'm going to point out, reproduction expenses. Jamie's going to need seals and forms next year, so I increased that. We got a quote on that, and we'll be purchasing those next year. But the auto supply and repair, I increased that to $2,000 because he's going to need brakes and calipers and tires next year. So I increased that to $2,000. I did have a conversation. I talked to Dave this morning a little bit about this again, but in August we had $113,000 on Jamie's truck. So he's concerned about the maintenance going forward. Dave and I figured it was spent about $24,000 24,000 miles on a year. So maybe we could get a couple more years out of it. So I was originally thinking 2025, but maybe 2026, but I'll come to this committee if it looks like 2025 is going to hit the budget for a new vehicle before it comes to that.
So,
First and second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dusty. Next up, we have strategic initiatives, page 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start by pointing out that this is a budget neutral proposal. All the administration of the American Rescue Fund is defined as a project, and so all the expenses come directly from that source. Not much change this year. We cut out a few things that we didn't spend any money on last year, and just also point out that next year we can expect to see for 25 a pretty bare bones budget, because we'll have to allocate the budget for 25 and 26 by the end of 24. So while we won't basically approve budgets, we're going to have to really be precise in how much we're going to spend, because that money has to be appropriated by the end of next year for the following 2 years. And those 2 years will be primarily auditing and reporting, visits to the sites to make sure everything's done properly. And 26, it's not likely that I'll be here. And 25, maybe only partially.
don't threaten us with a
It's
good
like an
time.
inside baseball joke there.
Yeah. So, there will be funds left in what we now call the external pot that can be allocated for things like broadband or other infrastructure things that are allowable under the law.
That has to be done by the end of 2024, though,
We
right?
have to decide how we're going to spend it by the end of next year, and then spend it by the end of 26.
Okay.
So, for during 2024, we need to calculate how much your office is gonna cost for 25 and 26.
Yeah.
Do a budget modification that will add that money into the 24 modified budget, and then roll it for the next 2 years. So you're gonna see zeros in this budget when it comes before you for 25 and 26. So we'll put an explanatory note with what people are making and things like that for 25 and 26, but you're gonna see zeros in the column next year, next year's budget.
Where will we see those?
You'll see those in the draft column in the 2025 draft. We're just letting you know ahead of time, because we're gonna have to allocate all the remaining money this year. We'll treat it like a grant, like a multi-year grant, and that money will roll forward into the modified 2025 budget. So as soon as that's done on January 1 or January 2nd, 25, we can give you a budget for that part that shows the money. We can actually give it to you before that, but it'll roll into the modified budget in 25. That way we have everything allocated to comply with federal law.
Else have any questions for Dave? If not, look for a motion.
Second.
First and second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Next up, we have real property.
Thank you. Not a whole lot of changes from last year. We got 2 really big increases. The first one is postage.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
26.
Thank you, Tom. So yeah, postage is the big increase, which I think I've prepared you all for by mentioning it over and over again. This is that mandated mailing to senior citizens, and what I've got budgeted there is the ceiling of what it could cost. I won't know what it'll cost until we have, the quotes in January from the actual companies that would do that mailing, but figure around $1 postcard with the cost to print it and the cost to mail it. So, and then the other fees and services is another big increase. That's kind of our pot for where all of our software licensing comes out of, and we have all of the GIS software licensing in one pot for several departments. So we've got planning and health along with our own users, and we're just adding on some more licenses as more people are using it, and that's what that increase is for, which I can go into more detail if anyone has questions on it. And then the last big increase, or slight increase, I guess, would be is reclassifying our tax map technician position to another GIS specialist. It's just a more professional position. They're doing a lot more work that's outside the scope of that current job, and we're also deleting the typist position to compensate for it.
Yes, go ahead.
I was just curious, did you have any progress trying to reduce the mailings to just the folks that are over the age?
That is still my plan. I kept the budget at this the 12,200 or whatever it is in there. I kept it there as the ceiling for if anything funky happens at the end of the year. As far as I know, there's a couple of bills in the state right now to kind of better define this mailing, because I think I've mentioned this before. The way it's worded, you're supposed to send a postcard to every improved parcel in the county, which is 38,000 something, what we did earlier in the year.
Right. Too many.
Yeah, and a lot of counties just ignored that. They just sent it to senior citizens, which is what I want to do. But if hopefully they better define it to say either, ideally we don't have to do it, that would be great, or it could go the other way and they could say, no, we're going to better define it in the sense of you have to send it to these specific types of properties. And so that's what that should cover, is if we have to do mailing to all the people again, we can cover it with this.
I know, but it's a waste to send it.
It is a
to people
waste.
who
I
can't
agree.
actually apply.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
Let's figure out a way.
Yeah, if we can only send it to the seniors, it'll be significantly less than this.
Yeah, exactly.
Easily half.
Point out that the GIS software licenses can be expensive, but they're very valuable. They'll be more valuable to us as we continue to look at where the gaps are in our infrastructure around the county and trying to get all that stuff mapped. We're working now with engineering firms that do work for the towns and trying to get them to send us files. So it costs money for that license, but it does get used, and the planning department I know uses it extensively.
Yeah.
Core is very helpful.
It's a daily use. Yeah. People are using it every day, so I think it's a great investment.
I'll make a motion to move this forward.
Second.
Have a first and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Thanks.
And thank you.
Next up, we have Public Defender, page 55.
Mr. Chairman, we've just spoken with the public defender, he's on his way.
Okay.
Move ahead for that.
Right. We can go with outside counsel, page 48.
So the budget for this largely remains stagnant. We are hoping to see a reduction in legal fees for assigned counsel when PD starts to take cases. to take. The public defender has not been taking very many cases. We're hoping that that starts to significantly turn around. So the budget originally showed $1.7 million for legal fees. After Phil and I discussed it, there was, some hope that again, those cases are going to start to shift to the public defender. We did reduce it to $1.5 million. One of the unknowns for us right now is with the increased rate that the state put in place April 1st, we're going to get reimbursed $41.50 per hour from the state. But the way the vouchering works is that attorneys have 4 months from the close of a case to be able to voucher to the county. So there's always a stagnant, we're not quite sure how much of the vouchers coming in are going to predate the April 1st because some cases go on for years, et cetera. So it was a little bit of a balance of how many hours are going to predate April 1, 23 when the voucher comes in to determine how much offset we're going to get from the state. It's a bit of a crap shot, to be honest, but I did my best calculating that based on what I've been able to claim from the state so far with the increased rate rules. I know that's very confusing. It's very confusing to us too. And frankly, the grant claims have gotten to be an absolute nightmare because I have grant claims that cover legal fees, but when I do the grant claim on the straight up legal fee, I have to back out the state portion of the increased rate fee because that has to go on another claim. It's gotten to be an absolute nightmare. So I'll take a little pity right now. Other than that, there's not many changes. The staff in my office is not changing. The support attorney went full-time, and that's really, really helped. I still have additional hours for my staff included in the budget, again, because we have not gotten relief from the public defender's office yet. My hope is once we get that relief, that can drop off as well. We had debated 2 years ago bringing on an additional staff member to help, but knowing that there was a light at the end of the tunnel, we put that off, and my staff has been willing to put in extra hours, hence that's the $8,000 additional hour line.
You're still doing all family court?
We do all family court, yes. Well, frankly, we're doing everything. Like I said, there really hasn't been a ding in the numbers yet. But hopefully that will change. We'll keep the conflicts that the PD can't handle, and we'll keep family court. We are keeping the PM cap court through 2024 because I have grant money that covers that 100%, so there's 0 expense to the county. My budget reflects shifting the cap weekend morning program over to the PD starting January 1st.
You're doing all PM now?
Yes. Yeah, but again, that's 0 cost to the county. I have a grant that covers all of that.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of what the PD do.
Yeah. Currently, we cover cap PM, which is every night from 5:30 to 10:30, and we cover cap AM on the weekends, which is Saturday and morning. A cap, we did turn over the cap AM. The PD took that over, my dates might be a little blurry, but about a month ago. So if there's arraignments to be done weekdays in the morning, they are handling those. And then starting January 1st, at least my budget shows them taking over cap AM on the weekends. Phil, is that what their plan is too? I'm sorry, Jim. We both went to talk to them at the same time. So is that?
It's weird.
Yes, 2
Yes.
years. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So is that worked out where the PD is going to take over the Saturday and Sunday AM cap program that we talked about?
I believe so.
Okay, because that's not in my budget, so that expense is, I took that out for.
He's on his way.
Okay. Well, I thought that the county was shifting that, so, yeah, okay.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Looking for a motion?
So,
Second.
First and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Brian. All right. Okay, $55.
You arrived just as you came on the agenda. I'll, take a situation, I can talk about some of your changes.
Okay, sure.
In the public defenders, you'll see there's still several vacant positions defined in purple. It was asking for some changes to the original staff that was budgeted previous year, adding in paralegals, and a team, deleting a case manager. Louis can explain his reasoning there. One of the primary changes is when we recalculated the Earl Herring money that pays for the public defender. That is split between assigned counsel and public defender. The public defender's portion of that total pot is $2.47 million. See that on page 59. And so Louis worked with me to reduce some of his lines from the original request to keep that within that 2.4, so there's zero cost to the county. The biggest line change is on page 56. That's the repairs to buildings and property. That's always been a balancing line. That's the money we have to put towards. You see that it dropped from nearly $1 million down to 472. Don't worry about that. As I said, it's a balancing line. There's actually another $900,000 that has accumulated over the past 5 years that we can access through ILS. So what we will do is we'll be able to reduce the Bunner Street capital project by the assuming, well, step one is the contractors are getting to me in the next few weeks their estimate of what the public defender's portion of Bunner Street is going to cost. Assuming it's 1.3 million or more, we'll be able to use that 1.3 million from the state to reduce the capital project by 1.3 million. So what we'll do is pay that 1.3 million out of the public defender's budget itself. That way we have all the invoices that we need to back it up to get that ILS money. So that $472,000 you see budgeted there will be augmented by another roughly $900,000 accumulated for use. Originally, that building renovation money from Earl Herring was going to expire in March 31st of 24, so that's why we got worried about the schedule being behind. But I've talked to ILS, and they're willing to give us a year's extension on that so that we don't lose that 1.3 million. So I just got to go through the formality of asking of 95% certain. So that's a change I made in Louis' budget. I'll let him talk about what his plans are with the staff.
Yeah, the biggest change is the support staff. Our office, when it was first designed, was basically a mirror of the DA's office, which generally is not a bad idea, except the DA's office has a lot of assistance from police departments, so they have a lot bigger support system than we have. So I'm looking in the budget to increase my support. The paralegals from 2 to 4 is what I really need, and to help with that, we only need 1 typist. So in the beginning there was 2 typists. Also, I need another investigator because my investigator is all tied up and can't get to everything. So looking to add another investigator. Again, it's that support staff that we really need to get the office, up and running. And then with the hiring of the attorney, I was at the meeting last week. We are getting a lot more interest, but it's still slow getting people to get hired. I have a first assistant starting this week. I have another senior, so we'll be on the management side. We will be up to date with me, the first assistant, and 2 seniors. Where we are still lacking is with the LPDs, with the assistant public defenders. But with the, as I said, with the range that we're advertising at, we are getting a lot more interest. So I think we will fill that pretty soon. Equipment-wise, we're going to get a lot less than before. Equipment, furniture, and everything, because we're pretty much, the office is filled with everything. Across the street, out of Bonner. Not Bonner, Pathfinder Building. Until Bonner is fixed.
That's right. So this is showing Phil vacating the first assistant.
Then it's currently,
It is vacant.
It is vacant until a couple of weeks from now when the guy starts. So,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when this was printed, it was vacant.
Okay.
Now he's hired.
That's vacant. This one senior is vacant. That person will be starting in a couple of weeks too. So we'll have our supervision in place. We'll just need to fill out a little more with the attorneys. And the seniors do take cases. The first assistant, he's with the state standards. They give you a lawyer for its own. The assistant public defenders can count as one lawyer. The seniors are counted as one lawyer. The first assistant is counted as a half a lawyer because it's half lawyer, half administrative. My position's administrative. So we'll have the supervision, and we just need, as I said, get some more attorneys.
So what's your best opinion of a timeline here when you can start taking some cases where you're leaving the side council?
Hopefully, by the end of the year, we'll be taking all the cases except for conflicts.
Except for what?
Conflicts, where, we can't represent somebody because, co-defendant and stuff like that.
And what about family court?
Family court isn't in the plan.
Yeah, family court.
Won't be.
No, that'll always stay with,
The
the sign council, yeah. It doesn't mean they could never go over, but right now, the model we followed was to have PD handle criminal and leave family with sign council, which is, many counts. We have the option, once everything's up and running, to relook at that and see if we don't have to do everything. But the plan was always to have PD criminal.
Lou, who's your first assistant coming in?
His name is Brad Jenkins. He's coming over from Livingston. He was the first, Livingston County. He was the first assistant over there. He's been an attorney for about 25 years, about last 15 in public defense, Cornell grad.
Questions?
I'm just a little uncomfortable because it seems like both budgets are asking for the money, but if the public defender's taking over a lot of the cases, then we wouldn't need the money at the other, right? Assigned counsel,
we've cut
if
back.
assigned counsel's doing it, we wouldn't need it at public defenders, but it seems like it's
The assigned council
overlapping a little
budget
bit
could
here.
be higher. We have already scaled some of it back in anticipation of the PD taking some over, because she still has to handle family court. So
So I thought the last time you came, you said you had about 100 cases right now?
You're up around 200 now.
And where are they coming from?
Well, we do Fulton and Oswego City arraignments, and we pick up them, the day arraignments. And then we follow those cases wherever they go. And then we just started picking up the night arraignments, but just for Oswego City. And we've been getting that, that's a lot of cases. We can pick it up there. And then starting December 1st, out of the night arraignments, we're going to start taking Fulton. And then January 1st, we'll take the towns.
So you have the staff in place now to take over?
I have the staff, right now, as of today, I have 2.5 lawyers. With these new hires, I'll have about 6 coming in. And I think with 6, we should be able to take those things over with the understanding we'll get a few other people to lighten up all.
And Louis, starting in January, I know that to date you haven't handled the cases. Are you going to start to handle cases yourself as well so that that attorney count would include you?
Again, ILS counts me as a 0. I do go to court when my people can't go to court.
I don't know
I
what that
cover
means,
that.
ILS counts you as 0. Can you
It's
explain
an
that?
administrative position, so when you look at the hours and the attorneys and what they're doing, they give you, you're allowed to do a certain number of hours. So as I said earlier, the APDs are considered an attorney, so it's a full attorney. The first assistant is considered half an attorney, so they're 0.5, and I'm considered 0.
Are you talking about the standards and goals that came out of Hurl hearing? I'm not sure what you're referring
Yes.
to.
Jerry, do you think the cost of this operation?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, if we're doing cases for the cities of Fulton and Oswego, which I think they do have some staff over there, are they contributing anything to this operation?
No, that's not their function. Our function is to provide the defense.
Well, the state has said it's a state function.
Yeah.
The courts have said it's a state function, but it's traditionally been a county function
Yeah.
since the 60s. Yeah.
It's time to go under the city.
Okay, looking for a motion to move this on.
Yes, sir.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, all ladies. I guess I can.
Pardon? No, public safety is part of the separation between any council public defender and the people. It's two different things. If you do not have, if anybody here does not have a color copy of the budget or the decrease report, please let me know so we can get you a copy.
Look for appropriate motion.
Don't move.
Motion to approve.
Wait for it. Okay.
I'll make 100.